I grew up in a fishing community where I was taught that eating more fish made you smarter. Of course, I had my doubts, but turns out that the fish actually know something that we don't about climate change. But let's start with what we knew, like the fact that Africa continues to bear the greater brunt for this climate crisis that it has contributed the least to. But the impacts of the climate crisis are not all there is to the African story. In fact, some of it is told by the fish. But I'm no expert, so meet Dr. Lubabalu, whose job is very fascinating.
Yeah, I love it a lot, and I get to actually see a whole lot of different fish species and the impact like the environment has on their behavior, their life history traits, and overall the functioning of freshwater ecosystems.
While this might sound a little fishy, so much information can be drawn from otoliths, which simply put are fish air bones. They work pretty much like tree rings, growing incrementally throughout the lifetime of the fish, which is where Dr. Lubabalu comes in.
So those rings or those bands are what I use then to age a particular fish. So I would count those rings and say maybe the fish is 2 years or 5 years old.
How does this relate to climate change? Scientists have found that these fish air bones store information about the environments that the fish live in.
It's mainly through the layering of calcium in this ear bone. So when that structure is formed, different environmental factors like your salinity, your temperature affect how these layers are actually layered onto each other.
A good example would be the fact that scientists have been able to pick up from these otoliths a progressive decline in the amounts of oxygen available in waters as a result of growing temperatures, proving that the globe is in fact warming. These changes in environmental conditions are registered on the fish otoliths as stress.
Stress is a huge factor in terms of the behavior of the fish, from being in terms of competition with other species or in terms of climate change. So from that tiny structure, you can then tell what were the environmental conditions before, the current, and the future projections. What is the situation going to be in terms of 2 to 20 years time down the line?
In the long haul, these changes don't just affect communities like mine that depend on the aquatic ecosystem.
It does affect a lot of stakeholders, one way or the other, from people who are not employed to people who are in government who are actually drafting or signing off policies.
The work of scientists like Dr. Lubabalu not only provides solutions towards mitigation and adaptation, but also embody the African spirit of resilience in the face of the climate crisis. Even you can be part of making a difference for the continent and the world at large. If not through science, then plant a tree or dispose waste correctly. Walk instead of driving. Or share this clip so that more people can be on the know. It's the African thing to do.